Hey guys, hello everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Creators Mastermind Haven. I'm your host. I'm Jennifer Blackert, and today I'm almost like a little giddy because we are here with Niurka, and she is talking about the frequency of gratitude. She's a visionary, she's a creator, she's a leader, she's been on stages with most of the renowned thought leaders that you know. She's worked with Tony Robbins, and she's a master at hypnosis and NLP. So you are in for such a great treat. I wanted to start with the conversation of this actually came up on this series a few days ago, and they were like, I'd like to talk to you about gratitude. The actual person I was interviewed came back, and I was like, geez, I could talk about gratitude for like 2 days. And I think people just think it's like a nice little thank you and it's on the surface and it's just the words. And I said, no, in hypnosis, you actually get yourself to an internal landscape so much that you're in gratitude that you already have it. And that was one of my keys that really made me play with gratitude 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm excited for this conversation. Where do we start with the frequency of gratitude in your world?
Well, first, I am honored. I am excited, and I'm totally grateful to be here with you and everyone in the community. And I love that you're calling it the frequency of gratitude, because everything in the manifest universe has an energy, has a frequency. And there's a quote, and I'm paraphrasing it. It's a Nikola Tesla, that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, think in terms of frequency. And I'll start with a little bit of my story. And I wrote about this in my book, Supreme Influence, where I shared that at age 15, I embarked on a quest for freedom, truth, and enlightenment, except back then, I called it running away from home. Okay, so I was so frustrated in my life, and I was accessing, without even realizing it, lower frequencies. I was in a state of worry and fear and stress and anxiety and scarcity and lack and limitation and not enoughness. And what I didn't realize in that moment was that what I was attracting, what I was experiencing, was matching those denser vibrations, those denser frequencies. So the portal that really brought me into what was the discovery of my life's purpose, my life's work, the essence of my joy in creation. It really began with 2 frequencies. It was faith and gratitude. And gratitude is so powerful because when we access this frequency of gratitude, we're living in a state of abundance. We're living in a state of appreciation. We're living in a state of grace. And a lot of times, people experience gratitude as like this relative thing, like, oh, something good happens and I'm happy and I'm going to be grateful. But if that good thing that I want doesn't happen, then I'm going to have resistance and I'm not grateful until it happens. And they shortchange themselves, because when we access this energy of gratitude, we're sending a message to the universe that we are living in this state of appreciation, which creates a doorway, a gateway, a portal for even more of that to start coming into our lives. So one of the tips and one of the suggestions I have for everyone is, if there's something that you desire in life, like a lot of times you see people, they want money, right? But then they look at someone else that's creating abundant financial prosperity, and they maybe have a negative energy around that. But that's the same frequency that you're calling in. Or they want love in their life, and when they see another person in a state of love, they feel the absence of it rather than the presence of it. So one of the things that I would suggest is, whatever you desire in life, even if it's not present yet, begin to appreciate it. Begin to appreciate it in others. Like, if you desire love, notice couples that are in love and go, hey, look at that. How awesome. It's getting closer. It's right over here. So I love that you mentioned and I love the topic, tuning it in to this frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're saying that, I often, when somebody's like, "Will you hypnotize me wealthy?" It seemed to work for you basically because I had some years of making seven figures, and it's like, well, sure, except just the fact that you're looking for money and wealth in the first place means that you think that you lack it. What what are
Oh, I
your
love
thoughts?
that you're saying that because to
You
me,
know, because isn't that like you've got to get them out. So what is the best way with some of the techniques you use, hypnosis, NLP, that you work to get people out of that, the hunger, well, hunger is not really the best word, but the want, you know, instead of the having of it. Is there some easy tricks you've got, or is that like too deep for a 45-minute call?
really not too deep, and it's such a great question because a lot of times when people think about what they want,
Hmm.
they experience the absence of it. Like, I want this thing, but it's not here. So one thing is, and in the early days, and some may know my story, and I shared a little bit about, embarking on the quest. By the time I was 19, I went to work with a guy named Tony Robbins, which many people might know. And I worked side by side with him and became his top trainer. He said something to me back then that really impacted my life. And it was at 19 years old. And he said to me, there's two things that impact your life more than anything else: what you focus on and the meaning that we give to things. Okay.
Mm.
So one thing is to recognize, okay, I have this desire, it's not fulfilled yet. How do we tune our energy? How do we tune our attention? How do we tune our frequency into the possibility rather than the absence? And you talk about hypnosis, like one of those things is go within, into the world within, rather than looking at the world without and judging what is or isn't present. Sit in your chair, elongate your spine, open your heart center, allow yourself to feel a sense of expansion in your body temple, and close your eyes and inhale. And we could do a meditation at some point. There might need to be a
Sure.
follow-up session with that. It's like close your eyes and inhale deep, rejuvenating breaths. And you can begin with tuning in with something. It could be anything you're grateful for, like tune into the wisdom of nature and begin to notice the love that we have for nature, the love that we have for Mother Earth. And from this space, just by tuning into appreciation, we begin to raise that energy. We begin to raise that frequency, and we feel better. It shifts our perception. We begin to become even more aware of unlimited opportunities that are surrounding us right now that we don't see when we're zeroed in, focusing on what isn't happening, or bringing up doubts or fears, or resisting, whatever's been showing up. So one thing is to catch ourselves. One tool. Like if you're ever feeling anything less than centered, clear, empowered, and I'm not talking about cheesy positive thinking, okay? I'm talking about that we have the power to learn from experiences, give meaning to the experiences of our life. Here's a big one, Jenna. Find the gift in the challenge.
Mhm.
That's a big practice. And that's actually, you talk about hypnosis. That's one of the things that I actually guide. I lead a course called Neogenesis. We just did it in Cancun, where I guide people to the root of whatever has been blocking them. And it's
Mm.
often these emotions:
Cool.
anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, these energies that block gratitude. They don't only block gratitude, they block our creativity, they block our unique expression, they block who we really are.
Mm.
So one way to begin to have a breakthrough is to ask different questions. So it's like, oh, why is this happening to me? Now we're going to shift and go, hey, what's the gift here?
Yeah.
What is there to learn? The learning of which, once integrated, allows this older dense frequency to dissolve in light of a new awareness, in light of a new understanding, in light of a new possibility. And I could give you some stories where that's happened in my own life.
That's it's so interesting watching you talk because it is that you are gratitude, and it is that you are in abundance, yeah? And it's just you sense it and you perceive it. When you're talking, I was thinking another journey to go on is to not even judge what to be in gratitude for, right? So
Totally.
that you can truly just be like, universe, guide me, take me on this journey of gratitude. And I think people, when something doesn't go, quote, right, that they judge as right,
Mhm.
they're not in gratitude, and they just like push it to the side. But that's the perfect learning opportunity. Do you want to talk a little bit
Totally.
about that?
It is, because often what happens is that people experience gratitude, as we mentioned earlier, as relative. And I'll share with you, and tell me if this is your experience. Some of my biggest breakthroughs have happened in the midst of my greatest challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I say sometimes when we're on our knees, we look in places we wouldn't otherwise look, right? We're like on our knees going, okay, what's the gift in this? And I'll tell you like just a quick story. Like I grew up, my brother was 7 years older than me. And from the time I was born, he would find ways to literally beat me in the crib and hurt the baby. And yeah, so people be like, what's wrong with the baby? She's black and blue and she's crying. And this was something that was a very traumatic experience growing up. And when I realized the gift in the challenge, it was the most colossal moment of healing, moment of liberation, moment of renewal. It was a new beginning. And what the gift was like my brother's challenge. He was my challenger in those early years. It initiated me with a level of strength, a level of fortitude, a level of power, a level of, this is not going to happen on my watch. Like no injustice on my watch. Okay. And it gave me this fierce energy that I don't know that I would have had I not navigated that from the moment of arrival in this plate of existence. So all of a sudden I realized, and the day I realized that, Jenith, I called my brother and I was like, hey, I just want to say thank you. And
he was like,
yeah, because I don't think I would have the strength and the power that I had you not been my challenger in that way in the early years. And I found the gift in it. So one thing I would remind and inspire everyone who's listening to recognize that whatever has challenged you in your life, anything that has really just been heavy on your heart up until now, or anything from the past that still shows up in the present, if it takes you out of your center, out of your game, or out of your power, which I like to say, when I say power, it's our creative power. It's our power to be who we authentically are. There is a gift, and I'm certain of it, because I've been guiding this for decades now. There's a gift buried within that experience, and it's like hidden treasure. And once you find that gift and integrate it, your perception shifts. A whole new experience of reality becomes available to you. You see possibility where you used to see problem. And it begins with contemplation. Contemplation.
okay.
Lean in, and I'm going to ask a question. What's the gift in this? What am I grateful for? Right? Leaning in instead of resisting. That's a big difference. Getting curious about the experiences of your life rather than resisting what you don't want, because we live in an attraction-based universe. I mean, Wayne Dyer said it, and I love this quote from Wayne Dyer from years ago, that you can never get enough of what you don't want. So if someone's resisting what they don't want in an attraction-based universe, which is where we live, what are they giving their power to? What are they giving their energy to? To that unwanted thing. But just by shifting the energy towards the gift, the learning, the new realization, the new possibility, your perception shifts and your point of attraction shifts.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. Oh my gosh. It just makes me want to run over there and hug you. Virtual hug. Right? Everyone in the audience is welcome to. Gosh, there's so many places to go on this topic. And one of the things that I've done in my life that kind of got me unstuck was I looked at everything as an interesting point of view. Really got me out of judgment. So beyond curiosity, when somebody else would say something that maybe meshed or maybe it's a judgment upon myself, I'd be like, that's interesting. That's an interesting point of view. So that might be one with the maybe that falls on the contemplation part, right?
I love that. And you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier about NLP and hypnosis. And
Mm,
one of the techniques, since we talked about techniques, is that I didn't bring I had some props I was going to bring. I think I left them downstairs. It's like we are often in a frame of mind.
mm.
And sometimes, so I'll put a frame usually. I'll take my
Yeah.
frame. You might have seen that in
I've
some of
seen
my,
it in a video. Yeah.
and I'll put a frame over my head. And that frame is like the mindset that we're in. And a lot of
Mhm.
times somebody is in this, I, me mindset. What did someone do to me? What did they say? So just stepping out of it, like you said, point of view.
Mhm.
Like we have infinite possibilities of point of views. And we could see things from our point of view. We could step into another person's map of the world and see it from their perspective. We can become the neutral observer. Like we're observing it from from the higher realms above, and we can observe it from there. And as we explore what an NLP is called perceptual positions, these different perceptual positions, our experience shifts and changes. So that's a real powerful, technique.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've always said awareness is the key. Like
That is,
if you're aware, you can change it. Like that is the universe like dropping it on your head going, "Watch this one." And then you watch these patterns and these records go over and over and over again until finally you're like, "Not this time." You know? It's so much like that. Wait,
that's so
stop. Not no, we are not going into the next abusive relationship, or we are not going down the rabbit hole of not doing this high quality and that's and it's literally the universe does exactly what you said. Wayne Dyer said it right there.
mhm.
That's I didn't I guess I forget to go back to Wayne Dyer and get some good quotes from his
To
work.
be old school. We love
I
we
know,
love
he's so
Wade.
great.
You're talking about transforming reactive consciousness
Mm,
into creative consciousness. And that's one of the blessings of gratitude is it ejects this reactive consciousness based on associations,
ooh,
neuro associations in the brain of past pains or struggles or traumas that then we want to avoid.
mhm.
So it becomes
Well, and if you align with the collective, you're in the same stuck situation too. It's sort of like reactive or aligned. Does that make sense? Because if you don't choose for you, then you're still in the trap.
mhm.
This is my thought on that.
Yeah, and right now, how important it is. That's why I'm so thrilled that we're doing this together right now, because every single one listening, like your energy, your frequency, your light is so essential. And I love that word
Mm,
essential because it is essential in this time. We are in a time right now where we're experiencing so much darkness in the world. And gratitude is a light unto the darkness, is what it is. So it's like if we walk into a dark room, and we want there to be light, what do? We flip on the switch. We
switch.
become the light unto the darkness. But yet what we see a lot of people do is resist the darkness, fight the darkness, and they're pushing away on the darkness rather than just turning on the switch.
Mhm.
So living in gratitude allows you to be the light unto the darkness. It also allows you to become the thermostat rather than a thermometer. You're not
Yeah.
just walking into a room and gauging the temperature of that room. You're literally setting the tone. You're setting the energy. You're raising the vibration, and people feel it. All of a sudden, they want to be around you. They love you. They don't know. There's something about you, right? That is special. There's something about you that starts to attract people because they feel that. And there's love. With gratitude, there's love. There is grace. There is appreciation. And when we're living with gratitude, we are truly rich in our soul.
One that brings up another part of this that might seem a little darker, but what I've noticed from clients is sometimes they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for you." And that feels yes, that's energetically a true. And then they'll text me and they'll be like, Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that they're doing that to get attention and to validate their self. And I think that they've taken, like, the frequency of being grateful for something, someone else, into a whole other construct. Thoughts?
Well, I think a lot of times we've been conditioned from childhood that we need to say please and thank you. And, and if we don't
Okay.
say please and thank you, that's, not good or not right. So a lot of times it's an autopilot response for some people because we've been conditioned. So I would invite people to remember, which I love the title that you gave to us, is that gratitude is really a frequency. It's a state of being. And there
Mhm.
are actions. Yes, there are actions. There's things that we can do that activate gratitude. And at the same time, there's an essence to it. And it's not something that needs to be repetitive. It's not something that needs to be drilled down. It's more of a subtle, it's like a
Mm.
subtle present grace. And
Yeah.
it emanates from us. When we're living in gratitude, there's you want the best anti-aging, everybody? It's like get some gratitude going on, It's you'll feel lighter in your being. And it's not something that needs to be like drilled down. It's something that is more graceful than that. So that's what I would
Yeah.
invite people.
I would have to say it's possibly one of our innate frequencies. We were born like, "Thank you so much for this milk." And we didn't say those words, but I think it was very much like, I mean, I remember having this itty bitty teeny tiny baby that I breastfed, and he'd look up and be like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing in the world." And I would be like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing in the world."
You
You
know,
know? And
That
it
is
just
so brilliant. And that is like
yeah.
wisdom on point because we are born with natural joy. Like the
Mhm.
essence of our being is joy. The essence of our being is gratitude. And then the conditioned world, happens and we get indoctrinated. In one of my courses, which is one of my NLP and hypnosis courses, I teach that by the time a child is 8 years old, they've had it's like, not even the number, it's over 20,000 hours of linguistic programming alone. Do this,
Mhm.
don't do that. You're this, don't do that. And we begin to condition children into this idea of who they are and who they're not. So a lot of my work is also about unlearning. It's not about learning, it's about unlearning. Unlearning the fears and the lacks and the limitation and the inadequacies and the self-doubt and the unworthiness and all of these things that are often encoded, almost like a computer encodes from these early imprinting stages of childhood or even before that, carried down genealogically in the womb. These are very real things. So I love that you say that because I'm totally in alignment with that. The essence of our being, the essence of of who we really are is
Or is
pure
innate.
joy. It's gratitude. It's love. It's
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to get tired of saying love, so I'd be like, "Oh, I so adore you," because it was just felt like a little bit of shift in the frequency and talk about semantics, right? Which I know that, oh my gosh, that you're like the queen of semantics. Which brings me to, I really love how you describe supreme influence, like, and, in the field of conscious creation, sometimes the word influence seems like a manipulation.
Mm.
And supreme, I think people think they don't wanna be superior, that we're all, humble. I see you brought a prop. It matches your shirt. Frequency of purple. Um, so can you explain how
Totally.
I mean, just kinda the generic, and I think we'll also link your book below along with the free class that you're giving everyone.
Yeah, we
Hey,
got a free
guys, goodies coming,
We
goodies
got some
coming.
little free gifts for everyone who's listening and for your friends. So whoever's listening gets to share it with all their friends and family and
Nice.
community and team and all of this. So the very first body of work that I created is Supreme Influence. And it's interesting that you say that because in the early days, Influence, as I understood it, was like in the context of sales, like you got to influence someone to do what you want them to do. It's like trying to get someone to do something. And what I came to realize is that that's a very low frequency, or like a dense energy, because it presupposes absence. Just like we talked about earlier, you're trying to get somebody to do something because it presupposes absence. And that's not the height of authentic, real influence. So supreme influence, as I define it, supreme is a word that refers to the authentic, empowered you. This is you living in alignment with your unique essence, with your unique gifts, your unique expression. This is who you really are, as we talked about earlier, before the world had all that conditioned stuff that was, put upon us, if we will. And influence, as I define it in my work and in the book, is inward, authentic influence, inward fluency. It is when your focus, your thoughts, your words, your actions, your beliefs, your values, your sense of self, your identity are in alignment. And when we're living a life that is aligned in this way, we have power. And power is another word that's misunderstood. A lot of times people are like, oh, like power, it's like power over, something. I even posted something on Instagram about power, and someone was like, that's not very spiritual. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, real power is inner power, the power to create, the power to live our life as we intended to be by design, to honor our unique expression. And when we're living in supreme influence, we have power, inner power. And it's not a power that is based on external things. It's this power that I know who I am. And the value that I'm here to bring into the world. And with this comes contribution. With this comes creativity. With this becomes your unique expression. See, a lot of times I see people that are looking, and it's great to have mentors, obviously, and to learn from what others are doing. And then as you learn from what others are doing, uncover and discover your unique gift, your unique expression, your unique way of bringing your essence into the world, whatever that may be. So supreme influence is about activating that and bringing it into the world.
Yeah. The way that I really got it was you can't, whatever's inside, if you have doubt or lack or those sort of frequencies, it will come out of your mouth. Like it's almost like you can't stop it. Mm-hmm. If that's where your head, your energy is and your being, it's like you can't stop it. And when I got to that, I was like, oh, words are codes. I mean, that's almost how it felt.
Totally. Like, one of the things I talk about in the book is that we create as we speak, that our words have that much power. And one of the things that I share in our courses is I say to people, if you open your mouth right now, how many possibilities are there of what could come out? It's like, right? There's infinite ways. No matter what is happening in your life, there's infinite ways to describe our experience. Well, the words we choose have power because they do two things. They shape our experience of reality, and they reveal the dominating thoughts of our mind. So as we become curious and we begin to shift our own conversation, it's not even conversations with others. That's part of it. Yes. It's also our conversations with ourselves in those quiet moments when we're with us, realizing that if I'm about to speak something, like people go, oh, why isn't this happening? Or why is it so hard to find love? Or why is it so hard to, create success in my business doing what I love, or whatever it is? That word is an invocation. And an invocation is like you are calling something in. And that language contains presuppositions. There's embedded assumptions in our communication that signal our subconscious mind to sort through a field of infinite possibilities and begin to attract what's in alignment with what we declare. Infinite possibilities is available. Everything you could desire is available in the field of infinite possibilities, and so is its polar opposite. This is freedom. This is free will. Get excited about that. So now it means we have power to choose. So owning our power to choose is owning our power to create. You know what you're reminding me of, and it touched my heart so deep. I have a membership program, and we meet, once a week for about an hour. I call it an hour of power. And the other day I'm leading a training with our members, and all of a sudden one of the members got up because the sirens were going off, and he's in Israel, and that was the message that they needed to go to the bomb shelter. And in that moment, he got up and he went into the bomb shelter, and I paused the whole class, and we all went into a moment of prayer. And he came back. And you know what state he was in when he came back? the very first thing that came out of his mouth was, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful for these tools. I'm so grateful for this teaching because I'm surrounded with people that are collapsing in fear, anxiety, and despair. And he is being the leader, the being centered in the eye of the storm in the presence of this. And he's recognizing how he's evolving in the presence of this tragedy.
Right. You talk about state mastery, which that reminds me of, like, it's almost that muscle of resilience. It sounds like it might be deeper than that.
See,
Like,
there's strategies.
Hmm.
There's strategies to access state mastery. And I love that you talk about state mastery because that's really the quality of our lives. And Tony used to talk about this in the early days when I was like 19 years old and I was traveling with Tony Robbins, that the quality of our lives mirrors the quality of our mental and emotional states. So how can it be that two people can be in a similar situation? There's a huge challenge and one person collapses in the presence of that and the other person goes, you know, what's the gift in this? What is the opportunity? What is the possibility? And they rise to the occasion. It's not the challenge, it's the mindset. It's the frequency, as you say,
Yeah.
Jennifer. It's the energy. So there's a formula for state mastery. And one aspect of that formula, and we could give it to everybody if they want it, there's like 5 major ingredients to call forth and access empowered mental and emotional states. Shall we go into them?
Yeah. No, I want to know. I'm like, wait, I missed some things along the way.
I love it. The first one is how we move our body. How we move our body influences how we feel. So like if someone is looking down and collapsing into themselves, I mean, from an NLP's perspective, since your audience is advanced, we'll give them a little advanced tidbit here. When you look down, you're accessing kinesthetic and auditory digital, which means when you look down, you're accessing feelings and internal dialogue, that little voice inside your head that's talking to you. Who knows the little voice? And if you don't know it and you're going, what voice? It's that one. Okay, that's the voice. So simply by elongating our spine, opening our heart center, sitting up tall in our chairs or when we're walking, allowing ourselves to feel lifted. It's almost like from the heavens above. We intentionally create a sense of expansion in our body temple. And we can look up. When you look up, you access vision. Okay. There's a great book that says without vision, people perish. Okay. So we look up and rather than going, oh my gosh, what's the problem? Why isn't this happening? What's, going on? There it goes again. Instead of that internal dialogue and feeling bad while collapsing and looking down, we're going to look up and focus on the possibility. The second ingredient is our questions. Now, the quality of our lives mirror the quality of the questions that we ask. Questions direct our focus. They influence what we attract and experience in a field of infinite possibilities. So if somebody asks the question like, why is this so hard? Or why does it happen for other people, but not for me? Or why can't I do blank? Well, you are invoking in that moment and your brain is powerful. It's going to go find an answer. And it might not be the answer that you like, but it's not because that answer is necessarily real. It's because if you ask a poor question, you get a poor answer.
Well, a why question it already has a conclusion attached usually. Why can't I find a job or something like that? Like they've already made the conclusion they can't find a job is what I often find. So I kind of usually guide them to what questions, right?
So what
else is possible?
Totally. And I love that you're saying this because a lot of times people use questions interchangeably without even realizing. Okay. So a question that begins with what is going to elicit a context. A question that begins with how is going to elicit a process. A question that begins with why is going to elicit a purpose or a problem. Okay. So a lot of times someone might ask the question like, how do I blank? I have people that come to me, they go, how do I make money doing what I love? I hear questions like that a lot. But before you ask the question, how do I make money doing what I love, which is a process, you got to ask, what am I inspired to bring into the world? What is my vision? And even my favorite question of all is who. I've gotten more breakthroughs asking who than anything else likely. So it's like, who am I being right now? Who am I inspired to be? Who am I committed to be? Who am I committed to become? Who do I know that I can align with? So be mindful of the questions that we ask and the presuppositions in that question. There are embedded assumptions in questions that signal. I'm sure your audience knows about the RAS, right, Jennifer? Not Jennifer. Jennifer. See, I had a moment. The reticular activating system.
Okay. Yes.
So it's the part of our brain that tells us what to notice. So if someone says, why is this so hard? The reticular activating system goes to why it's hard versus what is the gift?
Which goes back to gratitude.
How can I be? Here's one of my favorite questions. How can I be even more aware of the unlimited opportunities surrounding me right now?
Yeah.
So,
what's the possibility of you giving it information to me in words that I understand? I also will ask the universe that because I'm like, wait, okay, this is unclear, these numbers and things, but give it to me so I understand it. Show me.
show me. I love that.
Yeah.
So you're asking directly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how can it be better than I could even imagine?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so the power of questions is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like we said, the quality of our lives mirrors the quality of our mental and emotional state. The quality of our lives mirrors the quality of the questions we ask.
Yeah.
So our physiology, our body, our questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
These two, when we access a supreme physiology, right? Elongated, expanded, open, and we ask a better question, those two things alone automatically shift our focus.
Mm.
We start focused on possibility instead of problem. Okay.
Right.
And then the other one is our beliefs. What do we believe?
Mm.
What do we believe? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the world? What do you believe? Because our beliefs become filters that can either cloud our perception or our vision. We begin to see things through the lens of our beliefs. And then the final one, which really is the core, I would put this in the center. If I had it like a diamond, I would have like physiology, questions, focus, beliefs. And in the center, I would have identity.
Mm-hmm.
The identity. Who are you? Who are you really? And I don't just mean like I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a businesswoman. I mean, who are you at the core of your being? And our identity drives our life.
Yeah. What did you come here to create? Almost your purpose is with identity. When you strip away all the constructs of this reality, right? That's what you're looking for, is that identity without all the noise and even beliefs. I guess you really have to look at, is that just somebody else's point of view that I adopted?
Totally.
Right?
I'm like, question the beliefs. And people get weird about that sometimes because they're like, wait a minute, this is my morality and this. I'd say question these beliefs. Where does it come from? What is the origin of it? Is it even mine? Is it even true?
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you one belief that I see that blocks people's flow more than anything. And it inspires me to bring the work that we bring into the world, is that sometimes people have a belief that what if I'm not enough for blank?
Mm.
And this worthy, a belief around worthiness, like a buzzword that's come out recently, like in the last several years, is this idea of imposter syndrome. Like I hear people ask me to talk about it all the time. So it's like, you know, what is that really? So I would invite anyone, if you're having a belief, and, you know, what are examples of beliefs? Like sometimes, you know, limiting beliefs that block you. I would invite someone to, as you said, get curious, or as we were talking about earlier, to get curious about it, to, you know, tune into what point of view is that coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, fraud was the word that I used to use, I think, when I was starting my business. I felt like a fraud, but I was trained. I had all these certifications, and, there was no reason for me to declare myself as a fraud. And once I worked through that for years and years and years.
That's so important. And we want to unpack that because some people may be feeling it for different reasons. Like if someone hasn't done the work yet and they're feeling that, well, hey, it's time to do the work. It's time to really, and what does that mean to even do the work? It means that when something's coming up within you, we're not sedating it, we're not numbing it, we're not pretending it's not there, we're observing it. I love that you talked about awareness, because awareness is truly the portal, the gateway, the doorway. Anywhere where someone feels blocked is a place where awareness is blocked. Mm-hmm. So we begin to have this inquiry, and we begin to find one of my favorite transformational processes is guiding people to the root cause, the root of whatever's been blocking them. You talked about hypnosis, you talked about NLP. I also do timeline therapy when we do this. It's a whole combination of NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, spiritual practice. We bring in yoga, like we bring in all the tools in the toolbox to guide this experience, to go to the root. And often someone has a belief that is linked. Okay, let's get deep, because your audience can handle deep, right? They have a belief that's linked to a decision that was made in the early stages of childhood, and that belief and decision are buried under emotions. Yeah. So something happened to you when you were 4 or 5, and you felt anger or fear, but it wasn't safe to feel it, so it got buried out of the conscious into the subconscious. And in that moment, beliefs are formed and decisions are made in the mind of a child. So examples of these decisions are things like, I'm just going to do it myself, or I'm just going to hide, or I'm just going to be quiet. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to say anything. And then you see decades pass, and the person that doesn't own their voice, they don't own their voice because if you guided them in a hypnotherapy session to the root cause of the imprint, they made a decision when they were 4 that speaking wasn't safe. So they're just going to shut up. Mm-hmm. And now they're in their 40s and they don't know why they can't own their voice. Yeah. So I love that we're talking about gratitude, because the portal of learning begins with asking, what's the gift? Mm-hmm. That's the portal.
Yeah. And the universe is here for us, not here. And it gives us everything that that our frequencies in alignment with. I mean, it looks like this is heaven on earth, right? But it's only heaven on earth when you get rid of all this beliefs and this crap that's keeping you in that unattractive frequency.
You know who I was just texting with right before we got on was with Michael Beckwith. And I'm sure you know who Michael is, because I'm going out to California, and he and I are going to connect and see each other. He's a dear friend of mine. So he's the spiritual leader of the Agape International Spiritual Center. And he wrote the foreword of my book. And one of the things that he says, and I wrote about it in my book, it's such a powerful, he and I were powwowing, just having a great conversation one time. And he said this to me, and it really touched me. He said, in a field of infinite possibilities, you do not describe what you see. Rather, you see what you describe.
Love that. Mm-hmm. I've heard him say that before.
Yeah. So it's like, we're not looking at our life and describing what's happening. We're not looking at our business or our relationship or our physical body and describing what's happening. That's not really what's going on. Okay. It's like, what's going on is that what's showing up is mirroring back to us what we've been talking about, our own beliefs, our own, the mirror reflection of the questions we're asking, what we're focused on, our frequency, our vibe, our identity. Mm-hmm. This is good news. So if everybody's listening to this, they go, what? Uh-oh, this is good news. It means you have the power to shift. You have the power to change. You have the power to ask a better question. You have the power to tune into gratitude.
In each moment of each day.
That's another thing.
It's gonna be better than that.
Yeah, that every moment is a gift. And you know what? If you ever catch I'm going to invite everyone listening to not be so hard on yourself. If you've been hard on yourself before, if you catch yourself doing something that you've done in the past that perhaps isn't in alignment, just catch yourself and go, there I was doing the thing I used to do. Literally say that out loud. That's what I used to do. That's interesting. I did it one more time. But that's what I used to do. And allow your language and your focus to help you frame those experiences so that you really honor the magic of this new moment.
Oh, that's golden. Gosh, you guys,
Yeah. And
Please put your takeaways on the Facebook page, guys. Oh my gosh,
totally.
so
And come hang out
juicy.
with me on our social media too. We'll give you all the links and everything else. And here's the thing to realize. The moment you catch yourself, you're not in it anymore.
Mm.
The moment you catch yourself, you're in a higher state of awareness. And the more you continue to do that, it becomes easier and easier.
Love it. Well, let's talk about, you have a free class for everyone. Let's talk about it and give us all the juicy details.
Totally. We have an amazing class that's coming up right before Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving in the US, because I know we got a lot of community members in different parts of the world that celebrate at different times of year. This class is called The Power of Gratitude, where I'm going to be guiding you through specific insights, wisdom, also power practices. Specific practices that you can do that access the state of gratitude. So you're living in alignment and attunement with the highest expression of who you are. And then you bring that into all the aspects of your life. So it's going to be happening. It's my gift to everyone in the community and all your friends. So you could share it with your team and friends and family and everyone else. And it's going to be, here's the link. It's www.Niurka.inc. Niurka, my name, Inc, like INC.com/gratitude.
And the link is a big button below you guys. So go ahead and click the link right below.
You got it. NIURKAINC.com/gratitude if you're listening. And I'm honored to share with everyone present. And I've been so honored to have this conversation with you. It's like so fun. I love it.
No, it's so, gosh, I felt like, gosh, if I get her presents, what am I going to ask? Oh, so juicy. Just want to remind the audience a couple reminders. There are codes throughout these calls. They are words. And there are 10. They're scattered along this entire series. Collect all 10. There's a huge bonus package for you guys.
That's so cool. I love
I try to make little games for everyone. You know,
I love that.
Sometimes it's like a little hard.
I love what you're doing here, and you're
Oh,
shining.
I should watch my language with that. I forget to put reminders in for things. Which reminds me to also remind you about the VIP package after the series. It's going to be a live event, so you can look for that. Look for the VIP. That link is also below. A slightly different place.
I'm so deeply inspired.
Oh my gosh,
what you are bringing into the world.
I'm so excited about
these conversations, because the quality of our lives mirrors the quality of our conversations. Mm-hmm. You're bringing a conversation of possibility and a conversation that really brings us all together in community for a grander purpose. And I'm honored and inspired to be a part of it.
Well, I'm so glad you're a part of it. When I went from having these like total woo series and a ton of men, and I thought, I only want women. And your name was one of the first ones that came up. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm inviting her this time.
I'm honored.
And universe delivered. I was like so happy about that.
See, it's beautiful. So it was in supreme alignment. I'm honored to be here and to share.
Thank you.
And right now, the world, I'm encouraging everyone who's listening to rise to the heights that you're destined for here and tune into the power of gratitude, because it's going to be a portal.
Yeah. Thank you.
You got it.